Welcome to the Hoops Culture Podcast where we talk about all things basketball. We are finally back. Let's go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Finally, we are back. Oh my god. Yo, you guys are going to kill me in the comments for it's really been like too long, 11 days. I mean, oh my god. I don't know. I really got to find the way to balance this stuff out. I love doing this stuff. I really just, was really having a tough time with everything. Everything's good now. I'm feeling a lot better, but I was having a tough time with stuff, so I really found it hard to actually just put stuff together and think about stuff, so I wanted to clear my mind and everything. But today, we are finally back. Let's go. I'm so happy right now. It's gonna come out a little late, so I know most of you won't be up at 11:30 Eastern time, p.m. Eastern time to watch this. But I mean, when you watch in the morning, hopefully it'll cheer you up, make you have a better morning. If it has makes you have a bad morning, that would suck, and I would feel terrible. But before we get into everything, I want to talk about something with you guys. So I actually used to start on Twitch. That was my main thing. And I started in January of this year. I started doing Twitch. I loved it. And, it was really, really fun. I used to do a lot of NBA rebuilds, Madden rebuilds. I played UFC 3. I did reactions. I played Fight Night, played Batman games. I mean, it was a lot of fun. And then I don't know, just a lot of my software kind of got like messed up to where streaming just like messed up itself. The Wi Fi got bad, and a lot of the games that I had sucked. Like, games were really bad in 2021 from January 2021, maybe till I'd say like August, then September. More of the games that got delayed and were supposed to come out started coming out. So, yeah, it got a lot better. Um, and I think we should go back to streaming. I think streaming would be really fun. I was thinking of doing a lot of NBA 2K stuff, of course, but well, rebuilds. I'm not really too much of like a my team. I mean, my career's kind of fun once in a while. I wanted to do more so rec and have some actual team play in there, show some basketball IQ off. Even though my player is terrible, but I really just this is one thing I wanted to do. I want to get back into streaming. We could play some other games that aren't just sports games. We could play some story mode games. I have the Series X at the moment. I'm planning on getting a PS5 so I could play some more story mode games that are exclusive. Play both of the Spider-Man games, God of War Ragnarok when it comes out, the older God of Wars, of course, Uncharted, and the Series X will have a couple Batman games coming out, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. I mean, it's going to be really fun. I think streaming will be a great way to also introduce more people into the podcast side where we just talk about strictly sports and basketball. So yeah, that's something I really wanted to get off my chest. I started a new job, so it's actually my first ever job. I'm going to be investing it into the podcast and streaming. I want to really go hard into this. Um, I think it could be a success, and yeah. And another thing is that the IRLs is going to be tough because I'm going to be working, and the only time I'll really have time for stuff is like this. So yeah, it's a little tough to do, but I think I will be able to persevere and really start this off. So enough of me rambling about stupid stuff. Let's get into the first topic of today. This is something I actually seen like a little bit about. I saw some people talking about like the skill gaps between players and such. But yeah, I really want to like address why D2 and D3 ballers really get so much hate because at first, when you're young, you think, oh, you're not D1, you're not going to Duke, you're not going to this school. Oh, you're whack. It's easy to go D2, D3. When you're young, you think that. Or if you're just an ignorant guy who really thinks D2 and D3 is not good, I mean, like, in my opinion, D2, D3 is just as good as going D1. Because, look, you know how many people play college? Not a lot of people play college. It's a very few amount of people that play college. And there's few amount of people who play high school as well. So you got to appreciate that these guys are really playing, like, damn near pro level. But one thing I think people get why D2 and D3 get a lot of hate, I think is just for the matter of fact that like people think that just because it's like a low like it's like not a school that's as expensive or they're not on TV that they're just automatically not a good program, which is completely not true. Some schools, yes, they don't have a lot of money. I've seen guys who played Division 3 basketball that are can skill for skill match up with Division 1 players and pro players. And just so you know, D3 guys get pro contracts over some D1 guys because they're what the pro teams need. There are so many guys who also get like, disadvantages. So what I mean by that is that some guys when they're in high school, their academics are not as good as the guys who get D1 scholarships because obviously there's the generational talents who are obviously going to get D1 scholarships, you know, off the rip because they're generational talents. I mean, you're not gonna pass up on a LeBron James, a Kevin Durant for other sports like football. You're not gonna pass up on a Lamar Jackson, a Mahomes, a Justin Herbert, like those type of guys. Obviously, those guys are gonna get contracts, but the role players, those guys have to have good grades to go D1. It's more than just playing ball. You gotta have good grades. You gotta have a certain GPA to be accepted and an SAT score. A lot of guys who go D3 have no other choice because of either they're not getting the scholarship because of their academics or they really just don't have enough. It's just like, yeah, mostly. Sorry, I had a brain fart. It's the academics. Academics is one of the main things why D3 guys can't go D1. That's one of the reasons. Because there's a lot of D3 and D2 guys who are insanely skilled cannot go D1 because of academics. That's why as they go on in their college journey, they upgrade every other year and go up a division. I just think that's one, like, I don't know why they get so much hate. It's so unwanted. Like, I'm trying to think. Well, first of all, shout out to my cousin. My cousin played D3 ball. He was a great player. Just because he played, and people would probably like think, oh, he played D3, he's not good. Bro, he was a good ball player. He was a good ball player. He just couldn't play D3, D2 or D1 because he didn't get a scholarship. Doesn't mean he's a bad ball player. There's just a lot of guys who don't also get noticed. That's what I'm leading into with that. A lot of guys who don't get noticed as much. Some guys who don't put themselves out there. There are some guys, D1, I don't know how they're D1, over some guys that are D2 and D3, in my opinion. It's just like, sometimes there's politics involved. Yes, there's politics involved in sports. What a shocker. There's a lot of politics involved in any level of sports. There's, even from pee-wee level, like middle school, elementary school, pre-K, whatever. There's politics. Some parents involve their kids a little bit more. In college, sometimes it's whoever's liked more. There's guys who really like are despised as like, athletes. There's so many stories of even D1 guys just, getting hate. They can't get minutes because the coach just does not like him. That's one thing, you know. There's politics everywhere. But yeah, I just really never understood why they get so much hate. There's so many guys at the D2 level who could, bro, let's be honest here. There's some guys at the D2 level who could be in the league, in the NBA, but there's maybe a height disadvantage. Um, they're not getting noticed enough. That's one of the problems. A guy like John Morant, who barely got a D1 scholarship, almost didn't get a D1 scholarship because he wasn't noticed. He was a late bloomer. When you're good at your senior year, and he got lucky that he got noticed that the Murray State scout really wanted to go out and get chips. Chips. Imagine he didn't want to go get some chips and he didn't see John Morant. John Morant would probably not be in the NBA. I don't know. He was a very hard worker. His road would probably look a lot different. I don't think he'd be starting right away in the league. Probably be a 4-year college player. But yeah, I mean, like, think about that. John Morant's career almost got based off of luck. I mean, not luck because, he's in the league and he worked so hard, and he really did work very, very hard to get into the league. And props to him, man. Like, just props. Let's get an applause. Let's get a round of applause real quick. Props to John Morant. I mean, John Morant is a legend. I love John Morant. But yeah, it's just some guys really don't get noticed, and that's why they get hate. You say, I remember one time I was at the park playing like a couple of years ago, some D3 player. He goes, they asked him, they're like, oh, where you play? Where you play? He said some school. I forgot what school it was. I think it was like a school in Brooklyn, I believe, or not Brooklyn. It was Bronx. And he was like, oh, there. And he goes, oh, what division there? He says D3. The guy laughs at him and he goes, oh, you're not real college. Bro, the guy who was a D3 player, literally laughed back at him. And then he said, guard me the entire game. He dropped 21 on him. And it was so funny, man. The kid was respecting him all day. I just hate that. Like, that was one thing I really wanted to talk about when I came back. Just why do they get hate? And they don't deserve this hate because they're college basketball players. It's a privilege to play college basketball. You guys got to realize that. It's not easy to play college basketball. That is hard. Getting up every day to practice and go to school at the same time, it's not easy. It's a privilege. It's a privilege to be able to be able to play, but then again, it's not easy. It's not easy. Yes, it is a privilege to play, but it's not easy. I'm sorry, I'm getting my words mixed up, but I mean, like, it's not easy at all. It's hard work, honestly. It really is hard work. But yeah, that's one thing I wanted to talk about. The next thing I wanted to talk about, oh man, the NBA has been great. The NBA is amazing. I love the NBA at the moment. Every time I catch a game, I mean, let's just talk about my Knicks. Oh God, what's happening? We have statistically one of the worst starting fives with like a box plus minus ever. I think it was the worst ever statistically. I mean, obviously on paper you see like Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, um, Walker, Fournier, Robinson. You see those guys and you're like, oh, they're good, bro. They look terrible in game. I cannot, like, the bench is better right now, and I think the main factor to the Knicks being the weird team that they are right now. When you put Kemba and Fournier into a defensive minded team, and like I think a lot of guys are picking up their slack on defense to where it just looks so awkward and the chemistry is just so off. That's why the bench is playing so much better because the bench played together last year. They all played together last year, so they know what they're doing. So yeah, I mean, um, I think the Knicks will figure it out eventually. Obviously, it's 16 games, 15, 16 games into the season, so it's a little too early to tell. But man, they look terrible sometimes. They really do. Another team that's kind of been a little weird lately, the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, um, there's just a couple guys. on that roster that are so inconsistent. Cam Reddish was a guy who looked in the first couple games who looked like a six man of the year candidate. Now he's kind of like dropping back down to reality where he's kind of shooting the same shots, a little inefficient. I mean, I do think DeAndre Hunter is a bit better than Reddish. Reddish is going to be a great player, but I feel like his development is kind of going a little slow. Young is still kind of adjusting to the foul rule, but he's still playing great. Honestly, he's an amazing player. Even though yes, I'm a New York fan. He did that to the Knicks. He's an amazing player. I can't lie that he's an amazing. He's not an amazing player. What am I gonna say? Oh, he sucks. This and that. No, he's a great player. Um, a little Eastern Conference recap. I mean, the Bulls are on fire. The Bulls are on fire. Um, that that unit is insanely good. I mean, Vucevic is kind of having an off year so far. DeRozan and Zach LaVine are an insane duo. DeRozan's an MVP candidate this year. I hope he stays in the conversation. I would love to see it. I'm a fan of DeMar DeRozan. You got Lonzo Ball, who's looking amazing. LeVar Ball is loving Chicago. Stay in your lane. You know, LeVar Ball is a legend. Love LeVar Ball. I don't care what nobody says. So they say he's a bad dad. He's a great dad. He's a dad that cares about his kids. And that's the main thing. There's dads who just use their kids for money. He actually cared about his kids, man. He put him in a position to succeed. And LeVar Ball makes his own money. This big baller brand. Big baller brand, baby. But yeah, I mean, Caruso looks good. Their whole entire team just works so well as a unit. Billy Donovan's doing an amazing job as the coach. Um, I thought he was a bit overrated in OKC, but seeing him so well in Chicago, it just shows that he wasn't overrated at all, and I was wrong. Miami looks pretty good. Jimmy Butler's doing his thing. Tyler Hero's actually showing that he's a good basketball player and not a meme. Bam Adebayo's great. Kyle Lowry's having a scoring, like, I mean, I don't think he's there too much to like score the ball because he's got, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson shooting the ball, Bam Adebayo. I think he's there mainly, obviously, play make and play defense, facilitate, be a good point guard. But I like this addition as a defender. They look like a good team. Milwaukee's kind of having a slow start, but they've had their injuries, so I give them that. Detroit Pistons are an interesting team that I actually wanted to mention because Cade Cunningham looks pretty good. I really like Cade Cunningham, and I'm hearing the rumors of them like trading Jeremy Grant for Ben Simmons, and I think they should do that. They got to do that, man. Like Jeremy Grant, a young player, maybe like a Killian Hayes, add to that deal and a first round pick for Ben Simmons. You got to do that. Jeremy Grant is a guy whose stats were inflated last year by the Pistons being so bad, and you could kind of see that with more of the pieces playing now that you could see Cade Cunningham taking more of those shots. I mean, Jeremy Grant's a great player. He was never a number one option on an actual good team. He was never a number one option in my opinion. You put Jeremy Grant, I believe, back on the 76ers, I think he'll be a great player to actually help them possibly win a championship. He could do everything for them. And he won't have to shoot so many shots, but now you know that he's a good shot taker because he did improve. I'm not saying he's not a number one option, but man, he could be a good third, fourth option for the 76ers. A guy they could rely on. So yeah, I mean, that's one thing. That's like, my thoughts on the Eastern Conference a little bit. Moving to the West, Steph Curry is the best player in NBA basketball right now. Yes, Steph Curry is the best player in basketball right now. Oh my God, man, that guy. I really like that Warriors team. Like, they show that they could keep their core guys for not playing for like really together for a while and just put good guys around them. The core guys are doing great. You got Steph, amazing. Draymond's kind of getting back to his old self a bit. Jordan Poole is having a great year, career year. Andrew Wiggins is looking solid. Um, another some guys on the bench are looking great. You got Damian Lee, who looks pretty good. Has missed a couple games. Gary Payton, Gary Payton the second is reviving, not really reviving his career, but really just putting his career into place, set in stone. He's a player in the league, and Kevon Looney is looking pretty decent. They're gonna have Wiseman and Thompson back. I mean, really, it's scary hours for the West. Steph Curry has a good team now. That's scary hours for the West. The Lakers, it's the same story. LeBron's hurt. Um, this couple games, so there's really nothing much to say other than that they're just like injured right now, so we can't really like evaluate them as well as we could. Um, Clippers, Paul George is doing his thing. I mean, Serge Ibaka is coming back soon. They're going to be a playoff team in my opinion. Nothing more than like a first round exit. Paul George is a great player, one of the best in the league. Phoenix has been playing great. Devin Booker has his efficiency, not his efficiency, but his shot making has gotten down a little bit. I think with like the whole thing with the new ball and stuff. Um, it's a little rough. Minnesota is one of the oh man, Minnesota, they'll never ever get it right. They'll never ever ever get it right. It's honestly sad. I So let's get a little recap. 2016-17, Towns and Wiggins show promise. I mean, Towns looked amazing. Wiggins, 24 points per game that year, something like that. But they only won 30 games. 2017-18, they got Butler. They were great. They were like the third seed up until like February. Butler tore his meniscus, came back like around the playoffs. He wasn't healthy by the playoffs. I'll just tell you that. They finished as like the eighth seed, barely made the playoffs. First time making the playoffs in a long time, and they get bounced out in the first round by Houston, which is one of the best teams I've ever watched in my life. That 2017-2018 Houston's team was insane, man. James Harden and Chris Paul's duo, in their prime, they were great. I feel like they should have lasted longer if their relationship was better, but what are you gonna do? But yeah, Wiggins is gone. You got D'Lo on the court now and actually like balling out, and he looks a lot more athletic than he used to. But just that duo with Towns and D'Lo, they'll never be on the court more than like 20 games because D'Lo just always gets hurt. D'Lo's always hurt, and I want to see D'Angelo Russell succeed. I've been a fan of D'Angelo Russell ever since he's gotten to the league. Like from the Lakers time, like even in the Lakers times, I liked them. I like this game. Brooklyn, he kind of like really showed how good he was. Golden State, I like the Golden State stint with him. He was scoring at a high clip, and Minnesota, he just got hurt. But Towns, I really felt bad for Towns, man. He really didn't deserve that stuff last year. But I'm happy he's healthy now. Especially with COVID. I believe he got COVID at a point. Um, he looks a lot. He got put on a lot of weight, but man, I hope Minnesota figures it out. Anthony Edwards is a baller. Towns is a baller. Russell's a baller, and they can't win. They just can't win. They need to do something. I don't know if it's Trey Towns, trade D'Lo, and like try to build around Edwards, like kind of restart, let him do his thing, and then see what happens. But it's just like, how many more draft picks are you gonna go by, and one of them works, one of them fails, one of them kind of works, but then you do that, like it's just so tough. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. It was a pretty good episode so far, and yeah, um, appreciate you guys for listening. If you are listening, we'll be back soon. I'll keep you guys updated on Twitch. Follow my Instagram at Hoops Culture Podcast, and yeah, peace.